That's why the sun makes me sneeze.
I might have an increased risk of heart disease,
arthritis,
gallstones,
hemochromatosis.
I'll look into that.
Stuff we might pass on to our kids,
foods I might want to avoid.
Hundreds of things about my health.
Getting my 23andMe results.
It really opened my eyes.
The more you know about your DNA,
the more you know about yourself.
I do things a little differently now.
Eat better, ask more questions.
Change what you can, manage what you can't.
I always wondered what my DNA said about me.
Me.
Now, I know.
Know more about your health. Go to 23andme.com and order your DNA kit for only $99 today. Learn hundreds of things about your health at 23andme.com.
Many companies are reluctant to participate in Obamacare, but it's a federal law, so they have to comply, right? Well, maybe, but perhaps not all the way. Here with some ways that companies can get around some parts of Obamacare, a small business owner and CPA of the Marks Group PC, Gene Marks. Gene, thanks a lot for joining us.
Hey, Tucker, thanks for having me on.
So you're hearing from a lot of employers, especially small employers, who are very concerned about the effect of Obamacare on their businesses. What can they do legally?
Well, really, I mean, Tucker, first of all, what I'm seeing from a lot of business owners is they're kind of waiting and seeing right now as to whether or not they're really going to participate. Remember, you have to have more than 50 full-time equivalent employees to even be there. So, number one is if you don't have 50 full-time equivalent employees, and that's part-timers as well as full-timers, there's a formula. You don't have to worry about it at all. I mean, there's some paperwork that you have to deal with, but you don't have to be required to have health insurance. That's number one.
That by the way, that's a sad solution that isn't good for the economy, that's for sure.
It really is. And when I hear a lot of business owners saying, well, I'm just not going to grow my company past 50 employees, that really is a sad statement as well. And I hope that's not the case for most people. But anyway, that is one way you can get around Obamacare, is not have more than 50 people.
Yes.
Number two, though, is you could take what I call the Mr. Burns approach, which is really just to say, you know what, I'm not going to provide health insurance at all. I have more than 50 people. I'm going to just pay the penalty, and the penalty will eventually be $2,000 per full-time person, less the first 30 people. So there is a calculation you do. But you just say to your employees, go out on the exchanges and get it yourself. And for a lot of employers, I have to say, even that $2,000 penalty would be less than what they're paying for health care.
That's
That's not a good thing for employees either, but it's an option for some employers. And I know a lot of people, they are kind of considering that. Let me give you a third option, though, that I know has been very popular, which is kind of a hybrid. And that hybrid is this. You say to your employees, look, we're not going to deal with Obamacare. We're not going to provide insurance. We don't want to deal with the paperwork and the bureaucracy and all that. So we're going to tell all of you guys, you're going to go out and get your insurance yourself on the exchange. However, we're going to pay the penalty, and we're going to bump up your paychecks so that you get at least the amount of money in your paycheck that you were getting from us before when we were providing health insurance.
Right.
And then you have the choice to go on the exchange and buy your own health insurance and decide what you want to do. So a little bit of a hybrid approach there where the employer is still paying, you're paying the penalty, you're paying a little bit for your employees to go out and get insurance, but you're just avoiding all of the Obamacare regulation and bureaucracy and all of that.
It's amazing that even paying a penalty and increasing the salaries for your employees will still cost some employers less than complying with Obamacare. That really does say a lot.
In many cases, it really will. Now remember, though, if you're going to give your employees more money in their paychecks, you got to tax affect it, because that's going to be taxable to them as well. So you have to be very careful about that.
So very quickly, give me 4 and 5.
Right. Well, another way is people are looking at defined contribution plans.
Yes.
So, they're looking at actual, setting up a formal plan for doing just that. And that kind of gets you away from any kind of anti-discrimination practices or anything like that. So, that's really those are the main 4 reasons that are out there for doing that.
It's amazing what a drag on the economy all 4 of them are. I mean, a lot of them entail, soaking taxpayers in effect.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, the final thing that I like to tell people as well, and it's really a 5th reason, is that, you can always opt as an employer to get the minimum plan, which is the bronze plan. We'll be hearing a lot about that in the future. But bear in mind, Tucker, that a lot of small businesses right now, the ones even that have more than 50 employees, they're giving plans right now that are equivalent to silver and gold level plans. We'll be learning a lot more about that as Obamacare becomes, more prevalent out in the marketplace. But they're actually giving their employees pretty good plans as it is right now and paying for them. A lot of employers don't have to do that going forward. They can say, look, we're just going to have the minimum plan, the bronze plan, and if you, the employee, want to get more coverage, then you're going to have to pay for it, which unfortunately, that's not helping the employee. It's helping the employer a little bit.
Right. And the point is that the overwhelming majority of Americans have pretty good health coverage already before
They
Obamacare. Depressing. Gene Marks, thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks for that.
Tucker, thanks for.
Up next, Lady Liberty is closed, and you can thank the shutdown for that, but we've got a way you can still see her. Courtney Scott is here next with the details on places that aren't shut down. Coming up.
Somebody's trying to make me stay. You know I got to be moving on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big old jet airliner. Don't carry me too far away.
Campbell's Homestyle.
This is delicious, Katie.
It's not bad for canned soup, right?
You nearly had us there. Canned soup.
They just might think it's homemade. Try Campbell's Homestyle Soup.
You've reached the age where you learned a thing or two. This is the age of knowing what you're made of. So why let erectile dysfunction get in your way? Talk to your doctor about Viagra. 20 million men already have. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain. It may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. This is the age of taking action. Viagra. Talk to your doctor.
Beltway Bickering. Deal cuts through all the chatter on Capitol Hill. Is a deal finally in sight? It's a live cost of freedom. Shutdown. What's up?
I have to come here to work online, so I get home late.
Having internet at home would just be easier.
The internet is essential.